Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines that we're tracking for you this evening. The Nifty conquers the 25,000 mark for the first time as stock markets end at record highs. Mid-caps underperform with the index losing over 500 points. Infosys refutes claims of GST evasion by the central and state GST authorities, says pre-show cause notice of 32,400 crore rupees is untenable as expenses were incurred by the company's overseas branch offices. Zomato's first quarter profit skyrockets above 250 crore rupees, but a lot of that is on the back of other income. Revenues are up 74%. FMCG major Dabur delivers in the first quarter with revenue up 7%, volumes growing above 5%. A significant step towards the privatization of IDBI Bank. Sources say 3 potential suitors are given the fit and proper certificate by the Reserve Bank of India. That's an exclusive. The death toll after Wayanad Landslide climbs to 256 as hopes of finding survivors starts to fade. More than 200 people are still missing as rains continue to hamper rescue operations. 2 people are dead, 50 missing after a cloudburst in Himachal. Heavy rains also wreak havoc in Uttarakhand. 10 people are dead due to rain-related incidents in Delhi. All schools remain shut today. The Supreme Court upholds the state's power to grant separate quotas for more backward groups within the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe categories, overturns a previous ruling that the rule subclassification as anti-constitutional. The court cautioned states that such subclassification should be based on empirical data and not on whims to meet political ends. Israel declares it has killed the military chief of Hamas in an airstrike last month. This comes a day after the political leader of Hamas was assassinated in Iran. Fears of an escalation mount, with Iran's supreme leader pledging to retaliate. Indian shooters continue to shine in Paris. Swapnil Kusale gets India's third bronze, becomes the first Indian to win a medal at the 50-meter rifle 3-position event. Well, as always, let's start with the market action for the day. After flirting with the 25,000 mark for the last few sessions, the Nifty managing to conquer that today. This was the 5th straight session where major indices have closed at a record high. The gains, though, were limited as bulls continue to consolidate. Mid-caps, though, saw a sharp fall today with the index down about 500 points. So the Nifty closing above 25,000, up 60 points. The sensex 126 points higher. The mid-cap index dropped 500 points. The Nifty Bank closed absolutely flat. Now, let's talk about the journey. The Nifty took 24 sessions to gain the last 1,000 points to reach this milestone. Mangalam is standing by with more on the Nifty's journey to 25,000. Mangalam.
Well, 25,000 is actually just a milestone in what is otherwise a long journey for the Indian equity markets itself. So I just thought it's a good time to look back and track that journey itself. The index started in April 1, 1996 with a base of 1,000. Over the next 11 years, in September 2007, it moved to 5,000. Between 96 and 2007, we of course had the IT boom, the IT bust, the Asian financial crisis, the big bull run as well. And then from there, we had the great financial crisis of 2008. Between that and 2017, the Nifty doubled again to 10,000. Thereafter, in quick succession, it moved to 15,000, 20,000. And now, as we speak, we are sitting on Mount 25,000. Between 10,000 and 25,000, we've had GST, we've had demonetization, we've had a couple of elections, we've had a couple of wars, we've had the major pandemic as well. But the cult of the equity market and the market kept moving on. So what it teaches you basically is that over the long term, irrespective of the events that are taking place in the near term, the Nifty has compounded at 12% since inception. What does this mean? It's doubled every 6 years. And what does this coincide with? For the last 23 years, the Nifty EPS itself has compounded at 12%. So whatever happens, if the earnings are moving in a certain direction, the market eventually will catch up. So at 25,000, the index trades at 22 times FY25 price to earnings. This is something that we will monitor going forward as well, irrespective of, again, the events. The last 5,000 points is what we're tracking right now in terms of moves. They've been led by, the PSE index, the public sector enterprises, the realty stocks, oil and gas, as well as some of the auto stocks as well. What hasn't participated as much in the last 5,000 points has been the IT index, the FMCG index, and the Nifty Bank, while they've moved, but not to the extent of the others itself. It's been a broad market rally. So SME IPO index is up 165 points. Small cap and mid cap indexes up anywhere between 40 to 50% itself. The top Nifty gainers, Bajaj Auto, Coal India, M&M, ONGC, basically IT, realty as well. You have PSE's realty and the others. And if you look at the underperformers there, Bajaj Finance is actually down 8%. Asian Paints, IndusInd Bank, HDFC Bank, the biggest of the banks, down by about 1% over the last 1 year or so. But I've said it's a broader market-led rally. So we have Oil India, NBCC, Trent, all of them nearly trebling in the last 1 year or so. Oracle, Amara Raja up 150% as well. And here too, we've had a couple of notable losers. Z down 50%. We've had Naveen Fluorine down 20%. PVR Inox down about 15% as well. With all things said and done, as we sit atop Mount 25,000, what are the things that we are tracking going forward? One, will FIIs return to buy in cash market? This has been a largely DII-led rally. Second, now with the outperformance of the mid-cap stocks, is it time for large caps to take the baton and move forward? The third thing that we're watching out for is increasing retail participation in domestic SIPs. Does that continue in wake of all the regulations that are coming by as well? And finally, there are a lot of pockets of hefty valuations in the broader markets. Do they go away or not as well? And we obviously cannot discount the impact of geopolitics and global developments more on the market. So those are a bunch of things that we'll be watching out for from Mount 25,000.
All right, Mangalam, many thanks for joining us. That's Nifty at 25,000. In earnings now, Sun Pharma largely meeting estimates with its operational performance in Q1. Revenues up 6%, profits up 40%, margins also expanded by 60 basis points compared to the same period last year. Sales in the US were down 1% below what the street was expecting. That's Sun Pharma. Now FMCG major Dabur meeting expectations in Q1. Revenue up 7%, profits were up nearly 8%, margins expanded by 30 basis points. Domestic volume growth of 5.2% is also in line with CNBC-TV18's estimate. Restaurant aggregator Zomato delivering a very strong performance in the first quarter with revenues up 74% to above 4,200 crore rupees. Profits have come in at 253 crore rupees against just 2 crore rupees a year ago. This is the fifth quarter in a row that Zomato's earnings are in the black. However, a lot of this has come on the back of a surge in other income. The company has reported a higher gross order value across its food delivery business and a 130% jump in its quick commerce vertical. The company's EBITDA stands at 177 crore rupees compared to a loss of 48 crore rupees, a strong showing there for Zomato. Now, Infosys has refuted claims of GST evasion by the central and state GST authorities. The tech giant has said it has responded to a pre-show cause notice of 32,403 crore rupees that was issued by the Karnataka State Authority. But separately, as we pointed out, the central GST authority, the DGGI, has also issued a pre-show cause. Timsy is standing by now with the details. Timsy, what are the allegations that the tax authorities are making and how has the company responded?
Well, that's right. The Director General of GST Intelligence claims Infosys for a tax evasion of 32,403 crore for the period between July 2017 till March 2022. What we pick up from sources is that the DGGI Bengaluru zone has issued an incident report, which is a pre-show cause notice to Infosys on 30th of July. A copy of this incident report has been reviewed by CNBC-TV18, and according to the copy, DGGI claims that the company has received services from overseas branches and has not paid IGST under RCM, that is reverse charge mechanism, on import of services. Remember, the explanation that they have given in the incident report is that overseas branches have supplied services to the company and the same shall be treated as import of services by the company as per section 211 of the IGST Act. And to implement the on-site project related work, the company has set up branch offices outside India for the purpose of carrying out business. In view of explanation of these branch offices shall be treated as an establishment in such foreign countries. Hence, the company and the overseas branches would be treated as distinct person. Thus, this particular GST liability arises. Now, in response to these claims, Infosys in a company disclosure said, and I quote, the company would like to clarify on this matter. Karnataka state GST authorities have issued a pre-show cause notice of payment of GST about 32,403 crores for the period again July 17 till March 2022 towards the expenses incurred by overseas branch offices of Infosys Limited. Subsequent to the publication of the news articles, the company has also received a pre-show cause notice from DGGI on the same matter, and the company is in process of responding to the same. Now let's see whether this tussle actually ends up at the explanation stage only, or whether DGGI has a claim and they want to issue a proper show cause notice raising the demand, and whether Infosys actually pays up this demand or the matter lands up to the court. These are some of the options that we'll have to keep a watch on. Back to you.
There is a business model issue, and the circular is very clear. The law is very clear. I mean, this is nitpicking at the worst. And why are you doing it? What is the motivation for doing all this? That is what government should do. And why are you harassing companies? Today, business in India is living in fear. Business in India is living in fear. Tax rates, they announce everything. 60 to 70% of all appeals are lost.
They will have to create some sort of a provision. And why I say that is because whosoever wins at the initial stage, the matter will go up. It also appears that, if the amount is so huge, it may not go through the normal appellate provisions. Infosys may opt to file the writ petition and go straight to the High Court, because otherwise, through the appellate mechanism, they will have to shell out 10% plus 20% to file appeals at different levels.
Well, we are given to understand that Infosys may not need to make a provision just yet because this is a pre-show cause notice and the company will get an opportunity now to explain to the tax authorities why they believe that this is untenable as a claim. A quick check of some of the high-frequency macro data. India's manufacturing sector is showing resilience as per the HSBC Purchasing Managers Index. For July, the index stood at a reading of 58.1, which is only slightly below 58.3 recorded in June. This also comes at a time when China's manufacturing sector is struggling for traction. The S&P manufacturing PMI for China in July dropped to 49.8, indicating a contraction in new orders. India's auto sector saw muted sales in the month of July, with the majority of the big companies missing estimates. Commercial vehicles especially have had a rough ride. Sudarshan is standing by with the July Motown report card. Sud.
It was largely a muted month for the auto sector, with majority of the companies reporting sales below estimates. We'll start with two-wheelers. Bajaj Auto sales were largely in line. Total sales have come in at 3.54 lakh units against Nomura's estimate of 3.50 lakh units. Total sales were up 11% and two-wheeler sales were up 11% as well. Exports have seen an increase of 2%. And speaking to CNBC-TV18, company says it expects sales momentum to continue going forward. And on the exports front, it says overall growth in exports is going to be steady but in small steps. Next is TVS Motor. Total sales have come in at 3.54 lakh units against estimate of 3.57 lakh units, and two-wheelers and exports have seen an increase of 9% each. For Maruti, total sales have come in at 1.75 lakh units against Nomura's estimate of 1.7 lakh units, and these sales were down 3.6%, and domestic sales for Maruti have fallen 5% year-on-year. For M&M, it was a mixed set, with auto segment performing below estimates while tractor segment has done relatively better. Total sales have seen an increase of 0.5% while tractor segment has seen an increase of 8%. And company says upcoming festive season is looking very promising for the tractor industry. For Scott's Kubota, total sales have seen an increase of 3.6%, and like M&M, it also expects rural demand to improve during the festive months. For Tata Motors, overall sales were below estimates and it was dragged by CV segment. CV segment has seen a fall of 18% and total sales have seen a drop of 11%. Also, this time EV sales have fallen by 21% year-on-year. For Ashok Leyland, again like Tata Motors, Ashok Leyland also has missed estimates and total sales have come in at 13,928 units against Nomura's estimate of 15,000 units, and these sales were down 8% year-on-year, and MNHCV sales have seen a fall of 12%. So overall, after a muted month, these companies are banking on festive season for any recovery in the auto sales.
All right, that's the July Motown report card. A mixed start to the financial year in terms of macroeconomic data. In the April to June quarter, tax collections have been robust. Income tax growth is at 50%, direct tax is at 40%, and corporate tax at 26%. Fiscal deficit is down 1.4%, but capital expenditure by the government has been slow, largely on account of elections taking place in April and May. Capex is down 35% in Q1. Growth in the 8 core sectors also a concern. From a growth rate of 6.4% in May, the core sector growth has slowed down to 4% in June. The big newsmakers this evening. M&M's Group MD and CEO Anish Shah says the conglomerate is in much better place and expects a strong performance in the second half of the year. He's also seeing green shoots in the tractor segment. Listen in.
On tractors in particular, we are seeing green shoots. Clearly helped by the monsoons, but beyond that, government spending is up in rural areas. Second half should be fairly good as well. Navratri comes in at that point. So we are in a much better place from a tractor standpoint.
At some scale, would you like to demerge both the entities?
For us, if it makes sense economically to do that, we will.
Is there a scale in mind?
It's not a question of scale. The question is there more value for it together than apart?
Okay.
Right now, you see more value together.
At this point, we see more value for it together.
Well, that's M&M's Anish Shah. On to another exclusive tonight. 3 potential suitors for the acquisition of IDBI Bank have received a fit and proper certificate from the Reserve Bank, a significant step towards the eventual privatization of the bank. Remember, this has been a long-drawn process. Ritu standing by with more details. So almost 2 years on, Ritu, a fit and proper certificate coming in.
That's right. We do understand from sources that 3 potential suitors have received the fit and proper certificate from the Reserve Bank of India for the acquisition of IDBI Bank. So Fairfax Financial Holdings, Emirates NBD and Kotak Mahindra Bank are the suitors that have been given the all clear by RBI to proceed to the next step. However, our sources do indicate that Kotak Mahindra Bank may not pursue the acquisition of IDBI Bank at this time, given that it itself is undergoing a transition with new leadership and is also in the middle of that tech ban imposed by RBI. So IDBI Bank may not be top priority. My colleague Sapna Das had earlier reported that the due diligence process for bidders will start in early August and that the government is expected to call for financial bids for IDBI Bank before the close of the current fiscal. Now keep in mind that out of the 94.7% stake that the government and LIC collectively hold in IDBI Bank at the moment, the government is looking to sell 60.7% combined stake, including 30.48% held by the government and 30.24% held by LIC, along with the transfer of management control in the bank. And after the deal, the government will hold about 15% stake and LIC another 19%. Now remember, Fairfax holds nearly 40% stake in CSB Bank, and if it does pursue the acquisition and emerges as the winning bidder, then as the promoter of CSB, it could potentially explore a merger with IDBI Bank. But in the case of Emirates NBD, it may be a strategic acquisition. Now, Fairfax India public investments include significant stakes in CSB Bank, in IIFL Finance, IIFL Securities, 5 Paise, and so on, while Emirates NBD, on the other hand, operates in India through 3 branches to serve retail, private, wholesale, and NRI clients, and reported a total consolidated asset of about 6,300 crore rupees and profits of 60.7 crores as of FY23.
All right, Ritu, many thanks. We will head into a break, but up next, the death toll after Wayanad's landslide climbs to 256 as hopes of finding survivors starts to fade. More on that when we return. Two days after multiple landslides struck villages in Kerala's Wayanad, search and rescue operations continue even as hopes of finding the missing fade by the hour. The death toll now stands at over 250. The Kerala government has confirmed that 240 people remain missing and over 1,500 people have been rescued. The Army, Navy and Coast Guards are assisting NDRF personnel in the rescue operations. Amidst all of this, the centre and the state government have got embroiled in a fresh controversy. Home Minister Amit Shah said the centre gave the state advance warning as early as the 23rd of July regarding a possible natural disaster in the area. The CPIM-led Kerala government said that the red alert was issued for the district only after the landslides hit the area. Harish Upadhyay has more.
It's day 3 of the rescue operation here at the landslide hit Wayanad, where more than 256 autopsies have been carried out so far. This even as the government fears that there could be more bodies underneath the debris trapped, especially in the Mundakai region. That is where the rescue work has gone at a slower pace because there was no bridge. The existing bridge was washed away. The Bailey Bridge is being built by the Indian Army. They're hoping by the end of the day they can ensure that that Bailey Bridge is up and working so that more men and heavy equipment can be moved to Mundakai region. In the meanwhile, the government is also worried about the tribal population that's up near the forest area in Mundakai. Health officials who reached out to them are saying that as soon as they saw the health officials, they got scared and they left the place. So the focus is also ensuring that help reaches the tribal population and tribal hamlets within the forest area. That's another cause of concern for the health department.
Well, it's not just Wayanad, unfortunately. On to Himachal Pradesh, where 2 are dead and 50 are missing after a cloud burst. Many houses, schools and hospitals have been damaged. Relief and rescue operations are underway. Authorities have ordered the closure of all schools and colleges in the districts of Kullu and Mandi. In what comes as a landmark judgment, the Supreme Court today upheld the state's power to grant separate quotas for more backward groups within the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe categories. Now, the apex court, in a 6-1 majority, has overturned a previous ruling that ruled subclassification as anti-constitutional. However, the court has also had words of caution 4 states. Ashmit joins us now to take us through the details. Ashmit, take us through why the court decided to overturn the previous order, but more importantly, the guardrails that the court also hopes to put in place.
Well, indeed, another landmark verdict coming in from a bench headed by the Chief Justice of India. This, of course, was 7 judges. The decision in favor of granting states that power of granting that quota within a quota. It was a 6:1 majority. That's effectively the main takeaway here. That Supreme Court, what it has done is that it has allowed states to introduce a quota for certain specific backward minorities within the SC/ST quota. Now, all of this issue arose when the state of Punjab had sought to do this way back in 1975. Since then, there have been various rounds of litigation. Now, what's important as of right now is that the Supreme Court held that the SC/ST community is not a homogeneous entity. That it's a heterogeneous community. There are differences. There are some communities that do better than others in terms of socioeconomic standards, that do better than others in terms of representation at the government level. And that is something that the Apex Court has taken note of and said that the state governments will be fully within their remit, will be fully competent to pass laws, to pass legislation that provide additional affirmative action, additional quotas and reservation within that SC/ST quota. Now, that is not without the sense of guardrails. The Supreme Court has said that, number one, any decisions by the state governments cannot be based on whims and fancies. It cannot be based on political expediency. It has to be based on empirical data regarding backwardness and regarding possible opportunities that are being sought to be created. Not just that, the Supreme Court has also said that any such decision, any such legislation passed by a state government will be subject to judicial review. That means it can be challenged in a court of law. So essentially, the long and short is Supreme Court saying states can introduce a quota within a quota, but there are guardrails as well, and it will be subject to judicial review.
All right, Ashmit, many thanks for joining us. It is day 6 of the Olympics in Paris, and India's shooters continue to find their target. Swapnil Kusale won India its 3rd bronze. He's the first Indian to win a medal in the 50-meter rifle 3-position event. This is Swapnil's first Olympic. Congratulations there to Swapnil Kusale. And that's it then on this edition of Business 360. But before we wrap, CNBC-TV18 has had a viewership of over 91% on Budget Day for the last 25 years. This has been your budget destination, and we would like to thank all our viewers for your support. We have the country's best economists, market experts, corporate leaders decoding the budget in real time. We had new AR and VR graphics to enhance the viewer experience. So once again, to our viewers and to our team for ensuring that CNBC-TV18 continues to be India's budget headquarters.